Hey everyone, welcome back to Set Jet Sail. If you love history and adventure and exploring incredible destinations, you are in the right place. On this trip, I made my way to Long Island, New York to visit a place that holds both national significance and a personal connection for me. Sagamore Hill, the historic home of Theodore Roosevelt, our 26th president. What makes this visit so extra special? Well, it turns out I'm actually a distant cousin to Teddy Roosevelt. With snow falling and history all around me, I got an incredible tour with Lou, a fantastic guide from the National Park Services. He shared some amazing stories about the Roosevelt family, his life, and the home, which truly is a window into one of the most fascinating figures in American history. So, bundle up and join me as we step back in time and explore the life, legacy, and the home of Theodore Roosevelt at Sagamore Hill. So this beautiful home was actually built in 1886, and it became the Roosevelt's family retreat for over 30 years. Standing there, looking at the snow blanketing the ground, I could not just, get over the fact that you could see the children actually outside gathering snow to have a snowball fight, listening to, their fathers share adventures and stories. It was just wonderful. I had to bundle up because it was absolutely freezing that day. I think it was about 13 degrees. But I stood in the very yard that his children and his family embraced and enjoyed so many family memories with. Now, stepping inside, it was definitely warmer than it was outside. And you could only just imagine how warm it would have been if the fireplaces were going like they were back when Roosevelt and his family were there. When you walked in, you immediately saw the one parlor room on the left and then the den, or his office, if you will. What was really interesting is Lou, our tour guide, was able to point out some of Theodore Roosevelt's hunting trophies. He showed us some of his library of his books. Theodore Roosevelt was not just our president. He was a writer. He was a naturalist. He was an adventurous, and he loved to learn. After seeing this beautiful home and going through, you really could feel the energy that was there. So it was really, really cool. Now, if we were to explore more into President Roosevelt's study, that was actually his sanctuary. That was his room where he wrote his books. He actually wrote over 35 of them right there in his study. He also wrote some of his most famous speeches at the very desk in that room. So it's really kind of cool to see where history was made. And like I said, throughout this video so far, the energy was abundantly clear, and that's what I think really made touring this house so special, is because you could feel as if you were sitting there enjoying a warm beverage in the evening and talking about politics, exploring the world, and hearing about the stories. It was just amazing. You could just feel it. You knew if you were there, it would have been exciting to hear all of the stories. Now, the estate spans over 83 acres, and I have to tell you, walking through it in winter felt like you were stepping into a postcard. The trees were covered in snow, and the air was very crisp, very cold, but it was truly breathtaking. And our tour guide, Lou, actually pointed out that there was a lot of different trails throughout the property that actually Roosevelt himself used to go and explore and hike on a daily basis. So now, one of my favorite stops we made was to the barns on the property. Roosevelt was a true outdoorsman, and he was very passionate about horseback riding. Matter of fact, he actually housed some of his favorite horses in these very barns that were on the property. And Lou told us when we were touring that Roosevelt often would take his children on horseback riding rides all around the property, even in the winter. Now, the living room, from what I understand, was an addition to the house at the request of Mrs. Roosevelt. This is where they hosted all of their special guests that came from all over the world to meet with President Roosevelt. It also housed a lot of President Roosevelt's hunting trophies and then just different keepsakes and collectibles from around the world. You would love to be in this room back in the day so you can hear the history and the stories. It was just a very, very exciting and interesting room. Like I said, there's things that were from San Juan. There was things from, all around the world. And to see them there was really quite a treat. Now, let's head into the dining room. This is where all of the action happened in the home. It was the heart of the home, and it was where the family gathered to eat dinner and to have lively discussions. Roosevelt was known to have a very big personality, but even a bigger appetite. Lou said in one sitting, it's rumored it is, that he could eat a whole chicken. A whole chicken in one sitting. I can just tell you, just looking around the dining room, you can see it was a very, very special place and is definitely where the family was the family. Now, we also got to see the kitchen where all the meals were prepped and made for the family, but we also got to visit upstairs where are the bedrooms for the children and for Mr. and Mrs. Roosevelt and their different, guest quarters and things of that nature. It was very interesting seeing the bathroom, something that was very unusual for that day and time. As my tour came to an end, I took one last look around, and I got to tell you, I couldn't help but feel inspired. Sagamore Hill was more than just a house. It was a reflection of a man who was a remarkable man who lived his life with passion, with courage, and unshakable love for our country. And for me, as a distant cousin of Theodore Roosevelt, this visit felt even more special. It was more meaningful. It felt like stepping into a piece of my own family history and getting to leave there with a greater appreciation for our president's incredible legacy, but also an understanding for my family heritage. I am so grateful for our tour guide, Lou. He did a wonderful job, and the National Park Services for sharing this experience with me. Visiting Sagamore Hill was truly an unforgettable, and I got to tell you, I hope you really enjoyed coming along on this journey. Whether you were drawn to the thrill of the outdoors or the richness of history, or even the warmth of the family, this place has something very, very special to offer everyone. Roosevelt's legacy is one of bold action and deep appreciation for the world all around us, something I most certainly will carry with me long after this visit. And I hope you will too. So make sure you hit that subscribe button and stay tuned.